mayonnaise. On a hot summer night, a man decided to go for a late-night burger at a drive-thru, but right after he took the first bite of his order, he noticed a streak of white liquid oozing down the side of the bun. Strange. He had specifically demanded no mayo. With a lawsuit in his head, he opened the bun and witnessed his worst nightmare. The mayo was moving. Well, that would have been better than what actually happened. It was past 10 p.m. at a Checkers. A man named Robert leaned out his car window, waving the bag back at the worker. Robert didn't order no mayo for this. He wanted extra.
One packet? That's it? I asked for extra motherfucker.
The girl at the window gave a tired shrug. Didn't help the situation any better.
Oh, you bitch! Hey, manager! Get me your manager!
The window slammed shut, then immediately flew open again. This time, the other side stood a 23-year-old boy named Elijah. He'd been on his feet for 8 hours straight, working the late shift. His life was already a storm. Out of anyone, this person is ready to snap at the smallest spark. But Robert's spark was mayonnaise. The worker climbed out of the window, facing him head on. With such close distance, Robert started spitting out more crazy insults and escalated each after each.
Are you listening, mother? Hey, are you listening? Listen, dumb. You.
Robert's body jolted. The bullet teared into his chest. The drive-thru that was full of honking turned dead silent. Literally, dead silent. The incident took place around 10:10 p.m. on May 21st, 2025, at a Checkers drive-thru on West Erlo Bronson Memorial Highway, near Old Town Kissimmee. The suspect, Elijah Travis Mackey, fled the scene immediately, but soon later, officers found him under the stairwell at the nearby hotel. He allegedly told deputies, "I have a gun on me," then repeatedly asked, "Is the man okay?" Unfortunately, Robert died shortly after the shot. Mackey was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder, denied bond, and held without bail. The Burger Chef, November 17th, 1978, Indiana. The Burger Chef on Crawfordsville Road was closing for the evening. 4 young employees stayed behind to finish cleaning and go home, but they didn't. The next morning, when the opening crew arrived, something wasn't right. The back door was wide open, the register was empty, about $581 missing. But strangely, the employees' personal items were all there. Police assumed it was a prank. 4 kids ditching work, pocketing some cash, then run away. So they reopened the restaurant the very next morning. Little did they know. 2 days later, hikers wandered through the woods 20 miles away. That's where they found them. 4 bodies scattered in the dirt. 2 had been shot execution style, 1 had been stabbed twice in the chest, and the last beaten so savagely with a chain or a pipe that his skull fractured. He choked to death on his own blood. But further investigation never made it. The hasty reopening had scrubbed away every trace of evidence that might have been there. The incident shattered the restaurant's reputation. Even though Burger Chef was the second largest hamburger chain in America during the 70s, established the same year as Burger King in 1954, but the case left a scar too deep to erase and eventually shut down completely. In September of 2021, a man in Vancouver, Canada, decided to make a quick stop at McDonald's. Just like any routine drive-thru run, you pull up, place order, grab wallet, hand over a card. In a couple of minutes, you've got breakfast in your lap. Simple. At least that's how it should have gone. The man rolled up to the payment window. He had everything ready, but as he reached out to pay, the card slipped. A little mistake, not the end of the world. He opened the door and leaned slightly out to pick the card that's lying between the car and the brick wall. But what he didn't notice was the car wasn't fully in park. With him halfway out, the car slowly moving forward, the open door slams against his chest, ramming him back into the solid steel frame. Every inch forward shoves the door harder into him, crushing skin, muscle, and bone. His head snaps forward, smacking the frame with a dull crack, while his legs kicking inside trying to reach the pedals. But the vehicle keeps moving until the full weight of the frame and wall crush him in place. By the time it finally stops, his body was bent awkwardly between the door and the frame. Inside, the employees froze, unable to process what they were seeing, and by the time paramedics arrived, he was already unresponsive. A quite similar case took place in 2018. A 20-year-old named Charles Wood Jr. pulled into a Jack in the Box drive-thru in St. Louis. When he pulled up to the pickup window, the angle was off. He was too far from the counter. So he cracked his door open, slipped his upper body reaching toward the window. But instead of moving forward slowly like the previous case, this time, the car moved backward with sudden force. The open door yanked him sideways, pulling him half out of the car before he had time to react. As the car accelerated, dragging him backward, behind him, only feet away, was a tree. The edge of the door slamming him against rough bark. His torso folded and his head whipped violently, striking the frame. The crushing force pinned him like a rag doll caught between two machines. Employees rushed out, but what they saw looked less like an accident and more like a scene from a wreck. His body was jammed at a sickening angle, pinned so tightly that prying him loose required first responders to force the car forward. He was rushed to the hospital, but the injuries were far too severe. May 2023, New Iberia, Louisiana. 63-year-old Nguyet Lay started off with another long shift at the Arby's she managed. She had been known as a diligent, hard-working worker, but the shift that day would last longer than she wanted it to. Inside that restaurant had a walk-in freezer. Its door latch had been broken for almost a year. Workers begged for it to be fixed, but no action was taken. So they jammed it open with a box of fryer oil, wedged screwdrivers into the handle, anything to keep from getting trapped inside. That evening, Nguyet walked into the freezer to grab supplies. But this time, the heavy door swung shut behind her. She was locked in. For real this time. Freeze to death is described as the most brutal way nature can kill. In Antarctica, there are accounts of explorers so desperate in the cold that they chose to shoot themselves rather than let the cold get them. But Nguyet Lay didn't have that choice. Trapped in that Arby's freezer, she fought inside for hours, banging on the door, smearing blood across the metal as she struggled to escape. 3 hours in that freezer is long enough to make meat solid. By the time her son, who also works at the same place, opened the door, she was curled in the fetal position on the floor, already long gone. In the weeks after, her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Over $1 million in damages demanded. The trial was said to be pushed to 2025, leaving the family, specifically the son, with a tremendous trauma. Tasty Dot Incident. Around July 2025, when McDonald had to pull out from Russia, a new chain popped up as a replacement, called Tasty Dot. Like any canon event for a fast food chain, an angry man pulled up to the drive-thru and started calling the worker,
«Ты тормоз ёбаный, ленивый болван»,
for making the meal too long, which was a bit longer than how he can last in. The worker, Nikita, claimed the customer even threatened to exit their vehicle and strike him. He reported this to management, but no action was taken. In response, the worker gave him a few tasty dots from his mouth. He spit onto the burger patty, spread it nicely before covering it with cheese, and served it to that customer. Unfortunately, the act was caught on another customer camera. Nikita got fired afterwards, and Tasty Dot got a brand new nickname for the chain, Spitty Dot. Even though this case involved no death, it's a reminder for you that everyone is going through life in different ways. Learning to express frustration to small inconvenience with respect is setting foundation for a life without eating bullet or spits. I hope you'll get home safe and fully get out of your car. See you in the next.